Hi guys, welcome to this week's Urban Uncut, and this week, firstly I want to thank everyone that liked and subscribed last week. We got 700 followers over the weekend, which is a pretty good weekend's work for us. We're following requests this week. We are going to be doing a big update on the Cullinan. We've got the front bumper laid out, we've got all of the inserts, the adaptive cruise, the sensors, doing a full R&D session, and we're going to be working out what offset of wheels we go to on the wide arch kit on that. So then on top of that, we're going to go across to manufacturing. We've just expanded the business over there. We used to have warehouse and manufacturing in the same place, but now we've split it into two and we've doubled the size. We've got a delivery coming this afternoon of all of the equipment, which has got pipe benders, press brakes, things that I know absolutely nothing about. So we're going to go and see Reece, haven't we, Len? Len, what's up, mate?
Oh, bruv, man, I was out at the weekend. I was like out with the boys. We had a curry, turned me porcelain veneers yellow. I had a tear up with some fella because he said something about the Scottish princess, and I ended up looking like this. I just don't know what I'm going to do. You're going to have to do the video on your own this week, mate.
I'm just going to have to do the video on my own this week. Fella can't help me out. Man's on his own. So, we was about to install the Cullinan arches, but Mark got in the way, and it's quite good content. So we're going to show you now a little DRL light going in. I'm going to put this arch here for a second, just while we're doing this. What's going in there, Mark? We've got the DRL light going in. It's all been bolted in, the housing goes together. Comes nice and neat here with a mount on the back, so we can mount our square DRLs in there, and it adopts the factory fittings which slot into the main bumper. Now what we do here, we just scribe this down slightly, so when we put a little bit of adhesive in these slots, it adheres in and basically bonds into the bumper, which we're going to do now. Here's one I prepared earlier. Voila. Don't be fooled, guys, they don't take 2 minutes to fit. There's time to prep, time to paint, time to put the wiring loom in. It's not a 5-minute installation. So when you call up and say, I saw you fit them in 5 minutes, we cannot do it in 5 minutes. Back to the Cullinan. Right, so when we're doing a wheel fit, we set the wheels up to a standard fitment, and then we'll space out the wheel to our wide arches so we can get the perfect fit. Now, what have we done on this car, Mike?
Right, so we started off, we've gone 35mm wider on this side,
yeah,
and we're 25mm on the other side.
So we'll probably end up being somewhere in or around there. But
yeah,
so what we'll do, we'll buy two sets of sort of like spacers in as such, and we'll space it out two different distances. And what do we do? Get it off the ramp, get it into normal mode?
Get it off the ramp, and you've got to change the height of the vehicle, the different suspension modes, put it on full lock, because that's where your closest contact points are going to be.
To the inner arch. So we have to test out the fitment of the wheel, whether it crashes out on the inside of the arch and on the arch liners and on the chassis rail. So we have to check all of that before we get final offset for the wheels. So we're going to do that now, and then we're going to show you the front bumper, which is all done, the assembly's done. We'll give you a sneak peek of only the inside, unfortunately. So this is a real important part of R&D. Obviously, these are the first wheel arches that we sort of cut, that came out of the mold. They're slightly twisted. We're just using as a template and a jig. But these will go on and off, probably 10, 15, 20 times maybe during the early R&D process.
And the rest.
It's just, and the rest, yeah, maybe more than that. It's just so important to just get everything millimetre perfect. Some people compromise, you see bad offsets, bad arches, you know, bad fitment, you know, everything that you see here is just done so a customer gets, you know, an OEM plus body kit, aftermarket, that almost looks like it came out of the factory. That's our plan, that's what we're trying to achieve. We're almost done, we've got the arches on, we'll just get the car off the ramp now and we'll set the offsets. So what do we have to do, Mike, to get it down to like the normal factory setting?
Unfortunately, as it's just come off the ramp, I can't do that. Basically, if I want to get the suspension to re-level itself, where the wheels have been so high off the ground, it throws wobbly on the computer. So I'd have to drive it around the car park now a few times and sort of get it to re-level and see where it's at, and then I can adjust the height modes. The only issue is I've got a feeling this 35mm spacer will crash out on that chassis rail.
Right, okay.
So I prefer to lock it first before I went and drove it.
To double test it, right. So what we'll do, obviously, and I'm looking at this anyway, and I'm thinking that the 35mm is far too pokey anyway.
Way too wide.
So do you want to do a test on that, and I'll spot for you? So I reckon that, one, I think that's too wide, and two, it's probably 4 or 5mm too close to that chassis rail.
Yeah, as soon as you've got the rear section of arch liner in as well, it's going to pose a problem. Obviously, we'll get that 4 or 5mm probably closer.
So what should we do? Should we go down? Should we check the 25mm then?
So we're at 25mm on the other side, and I think that'll give us the clearance. Because obviously, when you're stepping a wheel out, it's obviously widening the turning
circle widens
so
out.
if you step it back in, should turn a little bit narrower.
I mean, obviously, because we've gone wide body, I want to go as wide as we can on the offset, but without the detriment of any damage happening on the car.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's look at the 25 then. So go on, Mike, turn the wheel. Yeah. So that just hovers past, but we're in the highest mode now.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is take the 25mm, the 35mm off that side, so it doesn't touch on the turn. We need to put it down to the normal height. See, this is what happens, guys. We literally go backwards, forwards, just so it's millimetre perfect. So we'll give this a run around the car park now. We'll drop it down to normal height. We'll check out the 25. Right, so that's all 4 arches back on the car. See, told you, that's the second time in 10 minutes. So what we've got on the back, we've got 25mm out on one side, 35mm out on the other. I think we're probably going to be somewhere in between that, but what we'll do, we'll sort of get a ruler test where we dangle a ruler down and just check the edge of the tyre just so it's perfect on the edge.
So what I'll do is I'll rest this straight ruler against the edge of the arch.
Yeah.
And then I know that I'm measuring into the centre of the wheel just there. So yeah, we're bang.
So that's 30 on this side, but we've got 35 on the other. So I just want to double check so we're millimetre perfect. You think it pokes too much, don't you?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. We're going to check the other side just in case. So that's 5mm too aggressive on this. So I would say that your estimations are perfect. Magic Mike is perfect again. 5mm in, 30mm out, across on the offset. So we're 30mm on the back and 25mm on the front.
Yep.
There you go. Perfect. That's how we set up the offset. Pretty easy, really, isn't it? Right, so now we've rocked out from getting the offsets right, I'm going to show you the front bumper. It's done, yeah?
You can look at the back of it.
Yeah. We're only allowed to look at the back because I know that I get criticised for showing people too much. You've seen the arches, but you've seen how perfectly they fit, so I'm happy with the sneak peek that you've got on that.
I'm feeling a little bit emasculated here.
What?
You've got a bigger ruler than me.
Yeah, go on, play your ukulele. Or is it called ukulele? Ukulele. You're not going to cut that out either, are you?
Probably not.
It's a ukulele, and I've got like, literally like, let's stop falling around, front bumper. Right, so, got a lot going on in here.
Yes, we do. They're not part of it.
What are they?
These are for the new Defender bonnet.
World exclusive, Defender bonnet, clip.
Yeah, it's a height adjustable rubber to stop the latch bouncing.
Yeah.
So that's the slot for that. We're going to see if that works later on.
Right, so we have got, going from left to right, so this is a completed Cullinan front bumper, 100% carbon fibre, with the exception of a couple of plastic sensor fittings and adaptive cruise control, yeah?
Yep.
Can you explain this to me?
I struggled to work it out myself in the first place, but...
So this is the level of engineering that we go to make sure, so we've got this new square DRL,
Yep.
yeah, which has got a housing just here, yeah?
Yep.
This is obviously for the other side. So it's got a housing which takes the plugs from the lights, which gives you the adjustability to move the light up and down.
So we've made this all height adjustable, which we haven't actually done before, so it was interesting to work with.
Yeah.
But these are the bolts that, if you want to call them bolts.
Well, this is kind of your fault though, Mike, right? Because the first thing that Mike said when we got a Cullinan in was, this is the most over-engineered car I've ever seen, but it's great. So we've followed the design ethos across, and we've over-engineered absolutely everything. We've seen such bad engineering on cars of this level on the road, and we wanted it to be perfect.
Yeah, and that is going to be.
That is going to be. So obviously one DRL's mounted here, which you can see. It's inside our carbon intake. We've got some nice carbon detailing that runs through from the side. We've got an air scoop that runs all the way through. So this is an actual single piece assembly. So you're going to get visual carbon all the way through, going into like an air intake slat at the side. We've got it carrying across through the centre. This is the 3D print that we do for the adaptive cruise control. This is what you was testing last week.
Tested it.
On, off, on, off, on, off, making sure it's right. We've also put all of the height adjustability in here as well, so it replicates everything from OEM. And you can probably explain how this all goes together on this side.
Yeah, so we've got this part, as Simon's just showed you.
That's like the housing which
drops around there, and that's all bonded solidly to there. You've then got these little things that pop into the light.
Oh, so it's like a ball joint sort
So what
of
you
thing,
do
yeah?
is you turn it like that, and it clips in.
Excuse me 1 second. Just got to take a call. Mr. Ewington, yes, I'm just filming at the moment, but just one quick question. Parking sensor housing holders. Done, perfect. I'll speak to you after filming. See you in a bit, bye. Sorry about that, guys. Carry on, Mike.
Cheers. So yeah, after that's solidly bonded into there, we've then got your 3 poppers that locate into there, and it's really stiff.
That's good though, because that means it's not going to come out. Yeah, so that's all clipped in, and then you can adjust the height of that.
And it's all height adjustable. You can just buzz the back of it.
And it lifts it, yeah, and it lifts it out, yeah.
But yeah.
So that's already, so the final part of our front bumper, we don't like the fact that you can see too much through these meshes. You can see the radiators, you can see silver. So we're sending this off to our mesh partner, which is Zunsport, and they'll develop a mesh that bolts in on all of our standard fittings, yeah?
Yep, and we've just got to remind ourselves that we've got a towing eye in this corner, so we'll have a little, it'll come across there and we'll have a
So if they made the mesh across there, you wouldn't be able to tow the car?
Exactly.
Not that you'd want to tow a Cullinan anyway, it's about 15 tonnes of metal.
Hopefully you never need to.
Never need to. What do we do across here? Does it go all the way around, or do we do 2 pieces? What do you think they'll do?
This will probably end up being 2 parts, because if we try and make it in 1 piece, to get around this is going to be a real pain in the arse.
Yeah.
So if we do it in 1 piece there and 1 piece there, it'll be a lot more simple.
So here's a question. I don't know whether it's a design compromise, but will they come round the corner like that, or will we have to trim this down?
That's a question I actually don't know the answer to, but we have made curved ones before, so
Yeah.
I don't see it being a problem. I'm
They would
assuming
press
they can
it,
just press it into a shape.
Yeah,
or
so
fold it.
I don't know whether you guys remember, but the process with carbon is everything's hand trimmed. So it doesn't come out of the mold like this, it will come out with a lot longer extension. So all of this has been trimmed by hand. And what Mike's done is he's gone backwards and forwards, fettling different areas here, so it clips into the bumper perfectly. We do the assembly on and off, all those repeated times. I actually looked at the original design data that we looked at, January 21.
Wow.
I did this. So this is such a long time. I should be bored of it by now, but I'm not. I'm most excited about this project. So
Yeah, I think the man hours that have gone into this one.
the man hours are serious. Yeah, you know, it's the most amount of components. It's the most detailed. It's the most, let's say, over-engineered. And I'm excited to show you. And we should be ready in what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, I reckon 3 weeks we'll have it nailed.
3 weeks we'll be ready. We're handing over the first 2 cars in May. So we're going for like I'm going to say a double handover, like the first 2 urban Cullinans.
Yeah, it's doable.
There you go, guys. That's your first sneak peek of the Cullinan, and we're going to move on to something else. You had your nose pierced.
Yeah, we've been giving it bad for more than that.
I think I've got to cover this off. Mate, he's had his nose pierced.
We're not filming that.
He's like, we're not filming that. I was just about to run into a serious overview of the Bentley GT, and I've just noticed that little Charlie's had his nose pierced. I mean, I know I'm 46 and old and past my sell-by date, but come on, mate. It looks like you got a ball bearing stuck to your face. Did that hurt?
Yeah, a lot.
Anyway, back to the seriousness, right? So on the next ramp along from the Cullinan, we have got Bentley GT being built up. We've obviously gone from like the R&D rear of a bumper to the fully finished rear of a bumper. And you can see here the level of detail, particularly from OCD Dan, that when you're building a handmade bumper, everything is perfect. I mean, when a non-urban outlet takes this bumper off and they take it off and they look in the rear, it's not like they can say, oh God, look at these guys, they've just thrown this together. Everything is perfect. I'm going to show you some of the details. So just here we've got the ACC cap. What do we do, Mike? We put a dummy cap in when the car doesn't have ACC, so it actually replicates the look of it having ACC. All of the parking sensor housings, we use OEM plastics which are bonded in behind, so when you push the parking sensor in, it fits flush with the edge. This is our Zun Sport mesh, which we was talking about earlier. You can see it's all bent in and angled round the corner. This has got holes for adjustment on the inner pieces when you do have ACC. It's also got these spider legs out as well, which go in on our fixings. So everything is basically in there perfectly tight, so it's nice and strong and sturdy. This assembly is probably about 6 or 7 pieces, which is eyebrows, main front bumper housing. We've got the side center and side intake, and then the 2 or 3 part splitter at the front. 3 part splitter at the front. So this is quite a complex assembly for such a short bumper. What we do first, we'll mount it up on the car, we'll do a test fit, we'll mask the car up now, we'll make sure the bumper all fits, and then we'll do a full and final fit. We should have an edit of this coming at the end of this episode. So what we'll do now, we'll get it test fitted on the car, we'll mask the car up, so obviously to protect the paint on the car. I'm just going to turn this around to give you a nice view of the front so we can go into detail and you can see how different the front and rear is. And spin this round, Dan. Going that way, yeah? You got it? Whew. So you can see here now on the front, obviously the eyebrows bolted on all from the inside, and when that goes onto the car, that will sit nice and snug up against the bodywork of the car to create the extended eyebrow. Like I said to you, there's the dummy ACC sensor, so it actually looks like the factory car with ACC, but these cones are also in exactly the same position, so when we do have a car with ATC, it all fits in perfect. Zun Sport mesh looks nice and neat up against the carbon, and we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4 elements of exposed carbon as well. So let's get it test fitted. Right guys, as you may remember, this was our PU rim injection area. Now, before we just used to do the PU rim, which is basically the injection of the plastic part. We used to outsource all of the side tubes, the side brackets, the internals for the step. You probably remember. So just here is a side step that we produce. This one's our hex design for the Defender. Comes in a single pad for a 90 or 2 pads for a 110. Comes out the machine, obviously we trim it up, make it all look nice, and it goes with the side tubes that are over there, and that's basically the part that we've outsourced so far. So what we want to do is we want to bring that all in-house, so we've doubled our manufacturing facility. 15 minutes time, we've got all of the heavy plant and machinery coming, which is the pipe benders, the press brakes, the real heavy duty stuff that makes the insides of these steps.
All they're going to do is lift the machines off and high-ab them into here. So this high-ab on the back of this lorry's got a capability of 60 tonnes, and it can reach out 6 metres and still lift up 3 tonnes. So it's quite unbelievable, really. He's just putting all of his legs out to stabilise the machine, so then he can lift the weight out further away. So what we're going to do is grab some skates out the back of our van, so then when he drops them down, we can put them on our skates and move them into position into the warehouse.
Oh my God! That is like...
Mate, I literally, that is like as much as I can lift. That is so heavy.
What is it?
It's called a surface table. So basically, when they set out like really precise jobs, that's like dead flat. Yeah? So this has been used for welding. No. It needs restoring.
We've got to make it flatter.
We've got to make it flatter. So basically what they do is come in with a grinder and they go...
How do they get it?
Yeah, you know. But literally it sounds like that.
Why is it so heavy though?
Basically, you need to structure
guys,
it.
I'm asking all these questions because I haven't got a clue what this is. I've just written a big check for all of this, and I don't know what it does. I've got trust in this man. So why is it so heavy?
So it's meant to be heavy, so it's got the structure. So if you put big metal this end, you don't want it to bend up that end. So it's got to be really strong, the whole thing. So the structure of it's strong, the table of it's strong, and then it should be dead flat. So it's basically for setting things out, but it needs restoring and grinding again.
I'll take your word for it. Or we can have dinner at it.
Yeah, if not, we can do the Knights of the Round Table at the end.
Right, so we're down to the last couple of bits. The first 2 containers have come in. Oh, well, they're not containers, are they?
No, they're big lorries, big high-abs.
We've got a lot of stuff that looks like it come out from the Titanic, so he's going to convince me otherwise that we're going to get lots of use out of this. We've got some cool benders, we've got some press brakes and stuff like that. Let's go and have a look. Right, so the hardest part of doing this is obviously the planning, because we've bought a company that was set up in, what, 5,000 square feet all in?
Yeah, jiggled in, and like add-ons. So you started off with 3,000, then added a little bit,
side. So we've got, what, 9,000 square feet here?
Plus the mezzanine floor.
So we've got 9,000, we've installed a mezzanine, which is 5,000?
Yeah, 320 square feet.
Yeah. So what we've done first, we put the 2 PU rim machines in, which you'll have seen in the previous video. They're all installed and working.
And working, he's been shooting this morning.
Right, so they're installed and working, and what we've got to do is we've got to work out the workflow for metal in.
Yeah, raw metal.
Cut, bent, welded, pressed, put together, shop
there.
And out the door.
And out the
That's
door.
what we've got to
packaged.
do. We've
Yeah.
basically got to work everything out. So if we do a quick sweep of the building now, you'll see all of the different machines that we've got. He knows what they are, I don't. We'll give you a quick run through before we go into more detail over the coming weeks.
That flat table, mate, if that's all right.
So this is our end cap for the XRS version of our side steps. You got that in focus? Yeah, so basically what we're doing a branded end cap, but because it's shot out of like PU rim,
yeah. It picks up every detail of the tool. So we're trying something new. We're 3D printing the tools instead of making them out of aluminium.
Yeah, so this is a 3D printed tool. Obviously, because it's only a 65 car run, we're trying to do it lower cost production, but I think we're going to have to up the ante on that.
Up the ante a bit and get it printed in a better
maybe we
material.
can do a 3D print, but we'll outsource it. So our 3D printer, the quality of it is quite grainy, and if we want to finish a nice smooth finished piece, we're going to have to outsource it to another company.
Yeah.
Anyway, on with the machines. What's this one?
So this is a CNC plasma cutter. So basically this takes sheet material and cuts it into small flat pieces that we can weld together to make brackets.
So brackets which would come out flat to start off with, and then what would we do?
We assemble them and then weld them together to make one structure.
And bend them and stuff like that?
Yeah, bend them as well, yeah.
Sorry, I know I sound novice, guys, but we'll get there in the end. So, is the detailing crest that we cut on one of these?
Yeah, so it can be cut on this or a water table or a laser cutter. So this is better for like thick material. The plasma cutter will last longer and it works faster than what a laser cutter would.
Gotcha. So some of you might have seen before, when we've detailed a car and we've put a car for handover, we've got a nice metal sheet with the urban crest in it, which we stipple up the carpet in. We'll show you now. And then, basically, you like that, don't you? Because every time I do that, you've got to put a picture up there. What's the next machine? Come on, show me more. Right, so these two look the biggest. What's these two? What's this one first?
So this is the pipe bender. So you take raw tube and basically bend it into the shape you want. So you know with our Defender tube, it like wraps around the car at the front. That this will put that in it. But this is actually a really sophisticated piece of machinery and can make like a roll cage if we wanted to.
Really?
Yeah.
Roll cage for the new Defender. Do we think that'd sell? Because it used to sell on the old Defender.
I think it'd sell.
We used to have a full roll cage for a 90 and a 110, and we called it the Menace Edition. Wouldn't that be cool on a 90 and a 110 Defender, the new shape?
It would be cool. I reckon, get in the comments.
Yeah, get in the comments. Would a roll cage work for the new Defender? Obviously, I know people don't tend to go off-roading with the new Defender. Some do, but it's an expensive car to do that
and
with.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
But just for a look, full roll cage, like brute with like. Anyway, off topic.
Off topic again.
What's these big
So
guys
these are
over
called
here?
press brakes. So you can do a few different things with press brakes. These are really old school ones. So we've got tooling to do different things. You can bend at different angles and that, but also we've got a piece of tooling to press our tubes.
This is like discovering Einstein's theory of relativity here.
Literally.
We've got this is probably from like, well.
I think that board's been up there longer than the machine's been alive.
Yeah, so this is the original workings of basically the process of the company that we bought this equipment from, basically them working out like
how to do things, yeah.
Evoke, Defend, Discovery 1, 2, Freelander.
All of them, yeah.
Literally
all
of
the
them.
steps.
So what does this bend?
So basically this bottom part will come up and it'll go in, there's tooling to go into this groove here and basically it just go and it'll make it into like a V shape, so that gives you a 90-degree bend.
Right, gotcha.
But also we've got the tooling to basically put two flat plates there to then squash the tubes so we can make our T6 tubes.
So it makes it oval rather than round.
You got it.
So there you go. So I'm learning something every day. Makes the tubes that we've got for our T6, which we'll show you now, makes them round, oval rather than round. Comes in raw format. So we've got lots of raw tubes that we've come in with this delivery as well. So
yeah, it's good. And then we've got the same machine again, but just slightly different. So basically we'll be able to set up a few different jobs at once. So we'd be making flat tubes there, we'd be bending here. And the nice thing with these is you can put different tools in each part. So you can do one bend here, another bend there, and another bend there. And you can do a process with it. So you can work along the machine and press the machine once and it'll do the same thing. But
so I've got a question. Can we paint these black and put an Urban logo on them?
Of course we can, and that is the plan.
Yeah, you've got to brand everything, haven't you?
Brand everything. And then this little press at the end is called a beam press. So basically there's a big beam inside here that's hydraulically pushed up and down, and this will do all sorts of things. So the the old guy that we got this stuff off has obviously made a jig for doing something. I'll learn what that is.
I'm sure we'll find out his little tricks of the trade over the coming weeks.
We've got lots of tooling that's all over the place, so we've got to figure out what's what.
We have, yeah. So we're in the process of basically doing this company, asset purchase handover. And the guy that's obviously selling us all of the products is going to come down once all of the equipment's here. He's going to work with us, and just basically a lot of engineering companies hold all of the information in their head and not so much documented today.
Especially old school companies.
Yeah, old school companies.
And basically what my job is going to be taking that information out of his head and putting it on paper so then anybody can make it.
Yeah. So that's the first update, guys. It's a bit chaotic at the minute. We've just, we've got a delivery of probably 25% of the stuff.
Yeah, there's still a lot more to come down.
A lot more to come. So we'll keep you updated in the coming weeks. When it's all nice and finished, we'll do a full story on it. So guys, that's it for this week. Now, before we end the video, we had one surprise visit from a customer. Now, this is the first one we've seen in the flesh. It's the new Range Rover. We've got to do a black pack on this car. We're stripping it down, but one thing we can do on the customer's approval is we're going to scan the car for our body kit. So exciting stuff. We'll cover this next week. We've already started on basically trying to pattern up for the steps, seeing whether our existing side steps fit. We might just have to change the brackets because of the floor pan, but that's looking exciting already. Was going to show you the Bentley GT, but unfortunately, mishap on the rear bumper, scratch back in the paint shop, so that's not going to be finished till next week. So your comments for this week, we need to know, one, whether you'd want to see a roll cage on a new Defender. Bit crazy, but I think we'll probably end up doing it because we've got a manufacturing company now. Two, we've got our 50th episode coming up in 3 episodes time, so we want to hear from you exactly what you want to see in our episodes. And then I'm just going to leave you with this week's wrap job, which is the blue Supra.